Greetings and welcome to This My Story, where we share incredible conversion narratives that highlight the different experiences of our guests. In each episode, we delve into the different personal experiences, spiritual insights, and profound moments that have led our guests to choose Christ as their personal savior. I am your host, Uma Pango, and today our guest is here to share their remarkable and beautiful story. Welcome, Jack Thulani Sangweni.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
Thank you. I'm fine.
Lovely.
Welcome to This My Story.
Thank you.
I can't wait to hear your story that you have to share with us.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Let's start from the very beginning.
Okay.
Take us back to your upbringing and your background. Where did you grow up? Everything about your upbringing and your background and your life before meeting Christ.
Okay, so I grew up in Kwabaland.
All right.
With Kwababs. With my grandmother. It was my grandmother and my brother.
All right.
So it was the three of us from as far as I can remember.
Yeah.
And at home we used to go to the Methodist church.
All right.
That's where my grandmother went to, so we followed suit.
All right.
So basically that was it. We didn't have much of a relationship with our parents. We just knew our grandmother.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
And you had an understanding or a knowledge of Christ, given that you already had a church background.
Yes,
from
definitely.
What you're saying.
Definitely it was there.
Okay. So now from the very beginning, were there any challenges or any beauties or privileges of life that you can remember of growing up?
Yeah, there's plenty on both ends.
Okay.
Challenges and beauties.
But specific ones that you could pick out?
One could be the fact that growing up with the grandmother was amazing.
Okay.
Because grandmothers are soft.
Yes.
Secondly,
you can get away with
almost anything.
Yeah.
It wasn't really the same with my grandmother because she was a bit toughish.
Okay.
But it was nice because she was just not a grandmother, but a South African grandmother for that matter. So the food was always amazing. So those were the good things. It was a softish life. It wasn't soft, but softish. And on the other hand, on the challenges, the absence of having your mother or your father there had its downsides. Okay. You could see the differences between myself and my friends, let's say, because I couldn't say certain things that they could say, like, how could I say the same thing? Because I don't know who he is. So those were the downsides, I can say, but more on the positives.
Good. Okay. So both the good and the bad, would you say any of those experiences led you to have a deeper yearning or desire for God or for Christ or for a spiritual belonging, if I can call it that?
Yes. In this sense, let me start on the negatives. Okay. The absence of the two parents made me look for solace somewhere else. Oh. And definitely my grandmother knew that gap was there, and at some point I would find it. Okay. So she made sure that she drove us to the church, the Methodist church at the time, and made sure that gap is covered there by the women that we could see there and the men that we could see there. So that somehow had a bearing in me going to the church. And even the positives, they made me appreciate the fact that it wasn't just my grandmother who did all that we could see. Someone else or some other being was assisting her to assist us. Yes.
Okay.
So basically, yeah.
All right. So in that moment and in that experience, in that upbringing, any specific incident that led you to a deeper understanding of God, like a deeper relation with God one-on-one?
Okay.
Besides the efforts that are being made by Koko and everything, but your personal experience that led you to a one-on-one with God.
On that one, actually the experience that I had, I experienced it when she was no longer there. When she was there, it was a matter of me going to the church because we all go to church on Sunday. But before she passed away, she used to say stuff like, I don't mind where you go to church, as long as you go to church, because I stayed about 3 years or so not going to the Methodist church even. when she was still around.
Okay.
So she was worried that this young man is straying. So she sat me down one day and said, no, even if you don't come to the Methodist church, it's fine. Go to some church.
Okay.
Then 3 years down the line, she passed away. Then after that, certain experiences I went through, such as in my class, they were at high school, that is, they were Adventists there. Now, one time I remember they were debating.
So in that period, you were not going to any church?
Not going to any church. I was just vacillating. Yeah.
Okay.
So they were debating next to me. I was busy doing my notes, and they were debating about eating pork and stuff. So they frustrated me, I can safely say, to say, why are you speaking about inyama? Like, of all things, we're busy debating about pork.
Yeah.
Not that I ate pork. I just didn't like the conversation.
Yeah.
So I just told them, this is the rubbish you're speaking about.
Okay.
That was the first time I heard of Adventists.
And how old were you then?
I was 15.
Okay.
16.
All right.
16.
Okay.
Fast forward, as I was preparing for my exams, A-level, I visited the Adventist church near my place. They had efforts, so they preached a tent at Terminus. So one day I just thought, let me just pass by and see what's happening. I went there and I was wearing earrings at the time. So I got there, sat down at the end of the bench. Less than 5 minutes later, someone called me. I don't know who it was, but it was dark. So a lady, Babe Kwebana, what talk bizwa mean. And I check, I don't know the face. She says, okay, now which one is this one? I didn't sit down after that. I didn't respond to anything. I just stood up and went home. Then, fast forward again, about almost a year later, I went back to the church. There was another effort. I think it was a share him effort or something. Okay. There was a grandmother preaching there. I think she was from the US. That week was different because I think I somewhat connected to her because she was a grandmother.
Oh,
so
got you.
That then somewhat did something to me. So I could sit and listen for the week to hear, okay, she's speaking about this. And then secondly, what she was speaking made sense because I had a few questions before that she then addressed at the time.
Okay, so now this is your first experience of the Adventist faith, and there are things and there are people involved in all of that.
Yes.
Were you looking for that in your life at that particular point in time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I was, because the words that my grandmother said before she passed away were still lingering in my mind to say, even if you don't go to my church, go to some other church. So every now and then the thought would come to mind that I'm not going to church. At that time, I'm still doing my things, partying.
Yes.
Weirdly enough, I was still a DJ at the time, so I was just enjoying life.
Okay.
But once in a week at least, I would think of that. So I knew this was missing in my life. So I was looking for it, but not maybe actively for a while.
And so now, Kokoga Seko, so who was your family and your voice of reason?
Okay. It was just me and my brother.
Okay.
Now there was another family close to my place. We are now almost like family because somewhat I look like their kids. So that woman then somewhat adopted us to say she will look after us for a while. And she was Adventist. I knew her very for years, but I wasn't interested in their church initially. But now she came in because she saw the gap and everything. Then she tried to assist us. So
she was staying in, or she would come over just to check? And
she would come over. She stays near my place.
All right.
Okay. So it's a walkable distance. She would just come every now and then.
So this goes to show the beauty or indlela ogogo abasithinta ngayo.
Yes.
That you could relate to that woman even when she was kupulpit, because she was a grandma, and because you had the experience ka gogo. And also here you are, because of what gogo was saying. So it to me it shows what the different roles that family members play in our lives are vital, and each one has their own place. And more importantly, ogogo, they have this effect that they leave with us. And maybe you may realize that even now you will be drawn to gogo or to ogogo around you.
Funny enough, yes, I still am drawn to ogogo. Probably because of that. I've never bothered to think why. I just know that I have this connection with Abokoko.
Yeah. Okay, so tell me more. Here we are, we've gone for this effort in Lukoko Chumaela. Any particular moments or experiences during that effort when she was preaching? During
that effort, briefly, I think I had a few questions before coming to the church.
Okay.
In the previous church that I was in, I never remembered them speaking about maybe what I should eat and what I should not eat.
Okay.
Or things about the sanctuary.
Okay.
These were new things to me.
Okay.
So I heard some of those things in the course of the week.
Okay.
So those caught my eye and my ear to say, okay, I've never heard anyone preach on food.
This one zooms in.
This one is zooming in on what I should eat, how I should speak, how I should look and whatnot. So for the week, that hooked me. Then the icing on top was the issue of baptism. I was already baptized, but in a different way.
Okay.
So I remember, I think I was 5 years old.
Okay.
They just threw a cross on my forehead.
All right.
At my previous church.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I remember of baptism, and I still have the baptismal certificate for that. Then her explanation of this new version of baptism then caught me to, okay, maybe I didn't really die to my old self. My old self was just thrown with the cross, so I need to fully die and then come back. Then I think these are the three things that I can remember that really caught my attention.
So you were baptized during that effort?
Yes.
Is it?
Yes.
And what was the particular message? I know you mentioned about dress, about eating, about everything personal, but what was the particular message that made you make that decision?
I think the one that really pushed me, over the edge was the issue of the sanctuary.
Okay.
I'd never heard of it before. So the way it was explained and how it was contextualized to my life then and how it really applied to my life then, that's what really caught me and said, okay, I think I need to be baptized to get more detail about this particular thing.
Okay. So you got more understanding and more knowledge after the baptism and not before?
Yes, not before. I got it after. I got hooked initially.
Okay.
Then I searched more afterwards.
After?
Yes.
You said, I'm making this decision and I'm making it now.
Yes.
Our viewers, we're going to be back after the break as Uchek tells us more after making this decision. We'll be back now. Welcome back on this My Story. We've been getting the bits and pieces of History Jack telling us about how he chose Christ and everything in between. Now, Jack, you have chosen Christ and you are hooked there and there. You decide to delve deep into the understanding and the knowledge later on.
Yes.
Could you say there were any changes after the baptism or after choosing that path in your life, in your personal life or in your personal relations?
Yes, there are changes.
Okay.
There were many changes,
All right.
but let me look for a few.
Okay.
Because I can think of a plethora of them now.
Okay.
But the first one was, me now going to church on a Saturday was a different issue. However, it wasn't too different because even as Methodists, my grandmother lived as an Adventist, but in a Methodist church in this sense.
Got you.
On Sundays, actually on Saturdays for her, she would cook everything and prepare for Sunday. So on Sunday, we did nothing really. We just go to church, we come back, we chill, we don't even turn on the TV maybe. We turn it on after 4 or 5 thereabout. But the lifestyle was somewhat Adventist.
So it was just a switch of days.
It was a switch of days.
Okay.
So that's one change that I know. That's bigger. Then on a lighter scale, I think, things like the friends that I used to hang out with. As I said before, I was a DJ, so I had that lifestyle and those kinds of friends. So them seeing me now saying, Majid, your church is Saturday, I'm not going with you anymore. I know for a year or so, they were questioned, you'll be back, you're just playing, we know you. But that then the consistency and getting new friends there inside the church shifted my life. Then the diet part also wasn't an issue because at home my grandmother was, I can safely say she was, what do you call them, vegetarian. She wasn't into meat and stuff, so it was normal. One drastic change though was the issue of dressing. I wasn't accustomed to wearing formal. I just
and here you are now slaying it, like killing it.
Okay, it's fine. You got me. But I wasn't initially into it. The only formal wear that I had was my school uniform.
Okay.
Because I was a prefect. Okay. It was a plus because I had a white shirt, black trousers, and those stripy ties. So when I got into the church, that's what I would wear. But as you know, you could see it, I'm here, but I'm not here. So it took me some time to then get into the whole thing. Luckily, Ukoko still had taught me to be decent, let me say so. She really taught me to be well-groomed. Even in my own weird style, I was well-groomed. So coming here, I think I brought that into the whole thing. Then the transformation of the looks then came into play.
I wanted to ask you, so what was the reception? You've unpacked that part of it. What was the reception of your decision with your friends and with your family? You have shared with how your friends took that, but how did your brother take that? And was there any judgment either with him or with the friends?
With my brother was just indifferent, let me say so.
Okay.
It didn't really mind. It was like, so I'm a Cheslian, it's fine.
Cool.
Go ahead.
Do you,
it's fine. It didn't really mind. It didn't really affect him.
Okay.
Then my friends, yes, there was some kind of judgment because my place was base Maneshonjalo.
Okay.
So whenever we would plan things, my friends would meet at my place. Then we move from there.
Yes.
We're going to a party, we meet at my place, we go there.
The person is not there, the place is not there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now I'm saying, no, you shouldn't come to my place for your shenanigans. Now they're judging me, Suzenzi and whatnot, but eventually they got used to it. With okay, here's like that. But some of my family members, extended family members that were in SA were shocked. Hey, which church is this one now? Why are you going to that one? And whatnot. But with time, they got used to it.
Now, through the judgment and that change in your life, is there any particular scripture or song or passage that carried you through that experience or through life, Unji?
I remember one particular story that has a verse in it, the story of Elijah being sent to the brook Kerith. There's a verse that says, then God said, you will drink from the brook, and I have sent ravens to feed you there, specifically there. So in the course of time, I thought, if this is where God wants me to be, there should be something that should sustain me here. Then I got that scripture. I think it was at the beginning of my journey to say, the ravens will feed you there. So throughout the time, especially the first time in the church, I just thought, if it's God to send me to this particular brook, he'll make sure that the ravens find me here, or I will find the ravens here.
Somewhere, somehow, he'll make it in jail.
He will open my eyes to see the ravens where they are in here. So that really, I think, kept me for a long time to say, okay, I'm not in the wrong place.
Okay.
Somehow God will show me that this is the right place to be.
Great. Tell us more about now that you are, because you made that decision.
Yes.
Then and there. But now you're learning more and understanding more, and there are certain things that are coming to light that they had not come into light before. Was there any confusion, or was there any thought, did I make a right decision? Maybe I should take it 2 steps back. Comment that.
Yeah, there was a time because I was doing arts at school, at high school. Now, when I came into the church, this thing of Bible studies, pamphlets, reading quarterly and whatnot, they intrigued me so much that I dived deep into those.
Okay.
But I would just comment based on my own understanding of the verses.
Comment at church or comment do it in your own private Bible study?
At church.
Okay.
I was too excited to comment private. I was really excited.
To be heard.
No. I understand this verse. So in my comments, it was just me dissecting the verse without any reference. Now others, when they are commenting, they will say, Udade, Gawai to Uti. And I was shocked, which date is this one?
Page 2, what, paragraph, what.
And when anyone would say that, you could hear the responses, Me, now when I speak, it's like, okay, it's fine. So that took me some time to say, what is up with this quotation thingy that is happening in the church?
Yes.
So that's really, it confused me. What are these people talking about? Who is this woman? But with time then, they taught me, we say this because of 1, 2, 3. This is the woman, these are the books.
Okay. So did it trigger any interest to read further? On Ellen White?
Definitely.
Books. Yeah.
Definitely. Because, I'm an inquisitive person, naturally. So in reading the Bible, I would just read other commentaries like the Adam Clark's, the Matthew Henry's. But now, when they introduced me to this new set of books, I was shocked because the first one was Steps to Christ. Then someone showed me the bigger book. It's called The Story of Redemption with 10 books, I believe, in it. Then at that point, I was like, now this is what I was looking for. Because one of the chapters I read initially was on the great controversy, I think, on the French Revolution. Now, reading about the French Revolution at church, to me, was a shock. I read about this at school, but what is it doing now at church?
Yeah.
So that sparked my interest to read more about, how does this woman write about this in a church setting?
And I think for you, I can only imagine, it's just a series of a lot of things that are interesting. Here we are talking about food, we're talking about dressing, we're talking about my appearance. Now there's French Revolution. And it's like, what's going on, guys? It was a lot.
But luckily it kept me in there because I think God knew that I'm one person who likes being shocked every now and then. I get easily bored. When I'm now on the verge of being bored with this thing, something else comes up. Exactly.
Okay. So in your journey in the church and as you grow as a person, was there a particular service or area or about the church that caught your attention in that you wanted to serve in that manner, or you wanted to be part of it more often or regularly?
I think one particular place that I wanted to be part of was the quarterly part. I liked hearing people comment on what they had read in the course of the week. But I didn't know where they got it from because I just thought, where is this lesson coming from? Someone is now speaking and whatnot. So that sparked an interest in me to say, what is this quarterly? So when I found out about it, I made sure that I could not miss any lesson.
All right.
Every week I would be on point.
Spot on.
Exactly. So I think that led to me growing more because I think for 4 straight years, if not 5, I was following each quarterly. Say, this one, it's on stewardship, I'm reading every day. It's on the sanctuary, I'm reading every day. So that's one particular place that I wanted to serve in. The second one was the music part. I can't say I knew how to sing.
Do you now?
I'm better. I'm better. But at that time, I didn't know. I just was interested to say, okay, the guys are singing. Let me go and join. There was a SS choir at church. Funny enough, I was singing bass at the time. I don't know how, but somehow I was in that space. So I think these are the two things that I was really interested in serving in.
And now?
I'm still in love with teaching.
Okay.
I still do. Music, I still love singing, but maybe not on a large scale. But I still love music. I still love listening to music. But I think the teaching, reading, preaching side has just
overpowered the other.
Exactly, to overpower the other.
All right. Here we are. There is a viewer out there, listener out there, who is in this valley of decision, and they don't know what path to take. Or they're on the fence. What are your words of encouragement for that person, given maybe it's Jack back then when he had come to the understanding of this new message and go forward or go backward? What's your word of encouragement to that person?
I think I can say it's worth diving in.
Okay.
Without knowing much at the beginning, you will know more later on. You don't need to know everything.
All right.
As you enter. You need to know something. You need to understand that the one who is feeding you the information now is the one who's calling you. So just trust wherever he's leading you. If you're on the verge, just make the decision. Don't vacillate because you don't have time. Make the decision, and you will realize after making the decision that it is worth it. And actually, maybe you may shout at yourself for delaying making the decision.
Definitely. So I suppose no regret. You're proud
of
your decision.
No. This walk makes you healthier. So in all spheres. So it's worth it. I don't regret anything. I regret delaying.
Okay.
More than anything.
Thank you so much, Jack, for joining us. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for enlightening us. And I suppose there's someone out there, and I hope there's someone out there that can relate to the story, can say, you know what, I find myself in that part. Thank you for coming through.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you to our viewers for joining in once again today. And I hope you find yourself in this episode. Until next time, God bless.